When I think about how it all started, I still remember the smell of burnt coffee, the hum of the old computers, and the sound of Adrian's laughter echoing in that cramped apartment. We were nobodies with a dream, but we believed we could change the world, mate. Imagine this, Adrian said one night, tapping furiously on his laptop. A platform that connects freelancers to real businesses in real time. No middlemen, no delays, just pure efficiency. Grinned. And endless coding hours for us. He laughed. Come on, Ethan. You love it? You live for this. He wasn't wrong. I did. The long nights, the cheap takeout, the caffeine, those were the bricks of our empire. And somehow I believed in him more than I believed in myself. Let's call it Apex Dynamics, suggested. He froze for a second, then smiled like a kid who just found treasure. A peck stop of the chain. Perfect. That was the night we started everything. Weeks turned into months. We built the prototype, pitched to investors, and somehow convinced Ryan Blake, a ruthless venture capitalist, to fund us. It felt unreal. Adrian and I had done it. At the launch party, he raised his glass and said to us, the kings of the digital world. I laughed. Slow down, Your Majesty. We haven't even released version 2 yet. I grinned. You worry too much, Ethan. Learn to celebrate the climb. That was Adrian, charming, confident, magnetic. People gravitated toward him, especially Isla. I noticed it the first time she laughed a little too loudly at one of his jokes. She said it was nothing, just friendly banter. I believed her. I always believed her. One evening, she was waiting for me in the office, dressed in white, holding 2 cups of coffee. You need to breathe, love, she said softly, placing one in front of me. I smiled. I'll breathe when we're stable. You already are. Adrian said the new investors are lining up, Adrian said. I asked, typing without looking up. She hesitated. Yeah, I had coffee with him this morning. He wanted my opinion on the new branding. He thought a woman's perspective might help. Something in me tightened, just for a moment. Since when does he need help with that? She smiled faintly. You're overthinking. You two are like brothers. Yeah, I muttered. Brothers. That night, Adrian stopped by my desk, tossing a paper ball at me. You're quiet, mate. Isla giving you trouble? Not really. Tried to sound casual. Just tired? He sat on my desk, confident as ever. You're doing great work, Ethan, I mean it. You're the brain behind this. I'm just the loudmouth who sells it. I looked up. Don't say that. You've carried us through meetings I'd have drowned in, still he said, smiling. Wouldn't be here without you. At the time, I thought it was genuine. I didn't realize flattery can also be a weapon. Days blurred into deadlines. Adrian became the public face of Apex while I stayed behind screens. Every time the media called, he handled it. Every time there was an interview, he insisted I was too busy coding. I didn't mind it, at least not at first. But one afternoon I overheard him in the hallway talking to Ryan Blake. Yeah, I built the algorithm myself, Adrian said casually. Took months, but it's running flawlessly. Ryan clapped him on the back. Impressive work, Adrian. You're the genius behind this. The words felt like a slow punch to my chest. My code, my sleepless nights. My work claimed like it was a trophy he'd earned. When I stepped out, he smiled. Oh hey, Ethan. Ryan's just leaving. We were talking about expansion. Ryan nodded at me, polite but distant. You've got a real visionary here, Ethan. You're lucky. Lucky. That word stung more than anything. After Ryan left, I said quietly, You built the algorithm yourself, huh? Adrian's expression didn't even flicker. It's PR talk, mate. You know how it is. Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. I know exactly how it is. He put his hand on my shoulder. Don't overthink. We're on the same team. But that night, as I sat alone in the office, watching the city lights blur through the window, I felt something shift inside me. Isla texted. Adrian says you're pushing too hard. Take a break. I stared at her message for a long time before replying. He seems to know a lot about me lately. She didn't answer. The next morning, I walked into the office and found a small crowd gathered around Adrian's desk. He was charming as always, showing them slides for the new partnership proposal. My proposal, the same one I'd drafted the night before. I caught his eye. He winked. You don't mind, right? We're a team. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile. Inside, something cold stirred. For the first time, saw the thing hiding behind his smile. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't pride. It was ambition, sharp enough to cut. And I knew, somehow, that the man standing beside me wasn't my brother anymore. He was the storm coming for everything I had. Ethan, can you step into the boardroom? Sophie's voice trembled when she said it. I could see the fear in her eyes before I even asked why. What's going on? I asked, standing from my desk. She didn't meet my gaze, just, you should see for yourself. When I walked into the room, every board member was there, Ryan Blake, the auditors, even Adrian, sitting at the far end of the table with his usual calm smile. Gentlemen, I started, trying to sound composed. What's this about? Ryan didn't waste a second. Mr. Cole, we found evidence of financial misconduct tied to your accounts. Falsified invoices, embezzled transfers, unauthorized fund movements. I blinked. What? Adrian leaned back, folding his arms. They found the transactions under your signature, Ethan. I tried to tell them it couldn't be true, but the evidence. He sighed. It doesn't look good. Stared at him, my chest tightening. What the hell are you talking about? Ryan slid a folder toward me. My hand shook as I opened it. My name. My signature. Transfers I'd never made. Numbers that made no sense. This is insane, I said. Someone's forged my approval. Look at the timestamps. Half of these were done when I wasn't even in the building. Adrian spoke softly, like he was the one trying to calm me. Ethan, no one's accusing you yet, but the auditors need to report this. You know how investors react to rumors? I slammed the folder shut. This is my company, Adrian. Our company. His tone sharpened. Then act like it and cooperate. The sooner this is cleared, the better for both of us. I looked around the room, the people I'd led for years, and saw doubt in their eyes. Not one of them spoke. Ryan stood. Until this is resolved, we'll have to suspend your access. Effective immediately. I laughed bitterly. You're suspending me based on fake paperwork? It's protocol, Adrian said gently, his voice like poison wrapped in silk. I wanted to hit him. Instead, I looked at Sophie, who stood by the door, pale and shaking. Tell them, I said. You know I didn't do this. Her lips parted, but Adrian cut in. Sophie's not responsible for your accounts, Ethan. Don't drag her into this. Turned to him. You set me up. He didn't flinch. Careful with your words. Something inside me cracked. You forged my signature, didn't you? You moved the money and pinned it on me. The room fell silent. Adrian's expression hardened. If that's what you believe, I can't help you. Ryan signaled the guards by the door. Mr. Cole, we'll need your badge and access cards. I stared at him in disbelief. You can't be serious. Adrian stood slowly, buttoning his suit jacket. It's for the best, Ethan. Until this clears, you'll only make things worse by staying. I shoved the badge into his chest. You think you can take everything I built and walk away clean? He caught it, smiling faintly. Business is war, Ethan. You've just lost yours. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Everyone watched as I walked out. The founder, the visionary, now reduced to a criminal in their eyes. Sophie whispered, I'm sorry, as I passed. I nodded once, not trusting myself to speak. By the time I reached the lobby, my phone buzzed. Isla, Ethan, her voice was sharp. What did you do? Nothing, I said quickly. Adrian set me up. She hesitated. They're saying you moved millions out of company accounts. Is that true? Of course it's not true. I said. He framed me. He's been planning this for months. She was quiet for a moment. The media's already talking. My family's calling. I can't what? I snapped. I can't be part of this scandal, Ethan. Not right now. Wait. My stomach dropped. You think I did it too? She whispered, I don't know what to think anymore. Isla, You've known me for years. Look me in the eye and tell me you believe him over me. I just need time, she said softly. Please understand. Time. I laughed hollowly. He destroys my life. And you need time? She hung up without another word. I stood there in the empty lobby, phone still in my hand, watching the elevator doors close on everything I'd ever worked for. Outside, the sky opened up. Rain poured like it had been waiting for me to fall apart. I walked until the streets blurred. I didn't care where I was going. My reflection stared back from a puddle. The face of a man who'd lost everything. He took it all. I whispered to no one. My company, my name, my love. The rain drowned my voice, but I kept talking. He took everything, and I let him. People passed by, umbrellas shielding them from the storm I couldn't escape. I didn't know how long I stood there, maybe minutes, maybe hours, until the lights of Apex faded behind me. Somewhere above. In his glass office, Adrian was probably raising a glass, celebrating his victory. I could almost hear him laughing, that sound, that smug. Familiar laugh cut deeper than any knife ever could, and in that moment, drenched and broken, I made a silent promise. If business was war, then I was done playing fair. Asterisk. The first week after it all fell apart, I stopped answering calls. Then I stopped checking the news. But it didn't matter. My name was everywhere. Ethan Cole, the genius turned fraud. I slept on a broken couch in a flat that smelled like dust and rot. Every night, the headlines replayed in my head, louder than the rain outside. One night, someone knocked. I groaned. Go away. It's Marcus Reed, a deep voice said. I froze. Marcus, the man I once looked up to, the legend of business ethics? I opened the door, ashamed of how wrecked I looked. He stepped in, eyes scanning the room. You look like hell. Thanks. That's the general consensus, I muttered. He sat across from me, unbothered by the mess. I watched the news. They're calling you a thief. Then they're consistent, I said. Adrian made sure of that. Marcus leaned forward. Did you do it? I stared at him. Would you believe me if I said no? He smiled faintly. I would. But the world won't. Not yet. Silence stretched between us. The old clock ticked like it was counting down to something. Finally, I said, he forged the documents. Every one of them. But I can't prove it. He covered his tracks too well. Marcus nodded slowly. The truth always finds its voice if you survive long enough to speak it. I laughed bitterly. Survive? Marcus, I can't even buy breakfast. He reached into his coat and dropped an envelope on the table. A small loan. Don't argue. I looked at it but didn't touch it. Why help me? Because I've seen your kind before, honest men destroyed by greedier ones. Most give up. Don't be one of them. When he left, the room felt heavier. I sat there, staring at the envelope until my chest ached. That night, I walked to the edge of the old pier. The wind cut through my clothes like knives. I took an Apex Dynamics business card from my wallet, the last one I had. I flicked my lighter and watched the corner burn. The flame curled the edges, blackening my name. The smoke rose, twisting away into the night. Goodbye, I whispered, but I didn't throw it away. I blew out the flame and kept the charred piece. A reminder. The next morning, there was another knock. Softer this time. When I opened the door, Sophie stood there, hair damp, coat too big for her. Sophie. I blinked. How did you find me? She held up a paper bag. You left your name on the mailbox, genius. I couldn't help but smile. You shouldn't be here. I know. She walked past me, placing the bag on the table. Food and something else. I frowned. Something else. She pulled out a small metal drive and placed it in my hand. I copied it from Adrian's personal folder before they changed the system. It took days. If he finds out I'm done, I stared at it. Sophie, what is this? Evidence, she said quietly. Bank records, emails, fake invoices. I didn't open everything, but it's bad, Ethan. Really bad. My heart started pounding. Why would you risk this? Because you don't deserve what happened, she said. And because he does. I sat down, turning the drive in my fingers. It felt like holding fire. You have no idea what this means. She looked straight at me. Then make it mean something. I laughed softly, shaking my head. I don't even have a laptop anymore. She smiled faintly. Then borrow mine. Just don't get crumbs on the keyboard. For a moment, I forgot how broken everything was. We talked about the office, about how everyone pretended to move on. She told me Adrian was already expanding into New York. The thought made me sick. Before leaving, she hesitated at the door. You're not done, Ethan. I can see it in your eyes. I don't even know who I am anymore, I admitted. She smiled sadly. Then find out, just don't disappear. When she left, the flat felt less empty. I plugged in the drive, heart hammering. Folders appeared, numbers, files, signatures, dates that didn't match up. Every line screamed one thing. Adrian's betrayal was bigger than I imagined. For the first time in months, I felt something other than pain. It wasn't hope, not yet, it was fire. Cold, steady, and patient. I picked up the half-burnt business card from the table and turned it over in my hand. From ashes. I whispered, comes the man who will bury you. The city didn't care that I'd fallen. It just kept moving. Neon lights blinking, people laughing, money changing hands. I walked among them invisible, a ghost with purpose. I rebuilt in silence. No headlines. No pity. Every morning I opened my laptop, coded until my eyes burned, and sent work under a fake name, E. Gray. Small freelance gigs at first, debugging app patches, simple systems. Enough to eat. Enough to stay alive. One night, Sophie called. You're working again? She asked. Trying to, I said, sipping cheap coffee. Code doesn't judge. Neither do I. I smiled faintly. You just worry too much. Someone has to. You barely sleep. I'm catching up on lost time, she sighed. You mean plotting? Both I admitted. Silence. Then she said quietly. I know that tone, Ethan. It's the one you had before Apex took off. Focused, dangerous. I'm not dangerous, Sophie. Just awake. She hesitated. What are you planning? Nothing you should know yet, I said. But I'm watching Adrian. Her voice hardened. He's untouchable now. His company merged with Nexus Corp. They call him London's visionary. I laughed softly. Funny. Vision built on theft. She whispered, and Isla. I exhaled slowly. She looks radiant in the photos. The guilt suits her. Sophie didn't answer. I heard her breathing on the other end. Don't pity me, I said. I need clarity, not comfort. I just don't want you to lose yourself again. I already did, I said. Now I'm building someone else. After she hung up, I stared at my cracked window. The city lights reflected off it like fireflies trapped in glass. Somewhere out there, Adrian was celebrating his empire. I opened a news article. Adrian Stone and Isla Grant, London's tech power couple. I studied his face, confident, charming, every inch the man the media loved. I'd once called that man my brother. Now I saw only a mask, I whispered. Keep smiling. I'm learning the cracks in your crown. Weeks turned into months. I built new contacts in the freelancer community. Quiet developers, data miners, analysts. I listened more than I spoke. Under aliases, I began tracing small digital trails, payment loops, hidden shell accounts, offshore branches under Nexus. Every night I kept notes. Every morning I refined them. Revenge wasn't rage anymore. It was structure. Sophie dropped by one afternoon. Bringing sandwiches and that familiar, disapproving look. You've turned your flat into a war room, she said, eyes scanning the screens. Research lab, I corrected. Research for what? For truth, I said, typing without looking up. You've changed, she murmured. I had to. Into what? I turned to her. Into someone patient. She frowned. Patience sounds nice until it becomes obsession. I I smiled. Obsession built cities and burned them. Her words lingered, but I didn't argue. She didn't understand that this wasn't destruction. It was rebirth. Later that night, she sat beside me while I coded. The glow of the monitor lit her face, soft and tired. "Do you ever think about starting over?" she asked quietly. "I already did," I said. "No, I mean, really starting over. New place, new life." I shook my head. "You can't start over until you finish what destroyed you." She looked at me for a long time. "You sound like Marcus." I smiled faintly. He said something that stuck with me. "The truth always finds its voice. I'm just making sure mine's loud enough." She sighed, but stayed. She always stayed by midnight. I'd cracked one of Adrian's dummy accounts, small payments routed through a shell vendor in Singapore. I leaned back, heart steady. Sophie glanced at me. "You found something?" "Maybe," I said. "A thread." She smiled, tired but proud. "You know, you're terrifying when you're calm." "I'm learning restraint," I said. "Revenge isn't rage. It's patience sharpened to a blade." Her eyes widened slightly. "That sounds rehearsed." "It will be." The next morning, I walked to the pier, the same place I'd burned the Apex card months ago. I held the charred scrap again. "Edges still rough, name half gone," I whispered. "E. Gray, the man who never existed." The wind carried the words away. For the first time, I didn't feel like a failure pretending to fight. I felt like a ghost writing a strategy, unseen, unhurried, unstoppable. Adrian could keep his spotlight. I had something brighter focus. The ruins were no longer my grave. They were my workshop. 2 years can erase a name or sharpen it into a weapon. I walked through the glass doors of Obsidian Labs, my new empire built from the ashes of the old one. The servers hummed like quiet vengeance beneath my feet. Marcus's voice echoed across the room. "I never thought I'd see the day, Ethan." "It's Gray now," I corrected, smiling faintly. "E. Gray," he chuckled. "The ghost who vanished now runs London's most mysterious tech firm." "Ghosts don't run," I said. "They haunt." He looked at me over his glasses. "And Adrian Hale? Still sleeping soundly?" I said, "Let's fix that." Chloe Hale entered the room then, Adrian's younger sister, calm but sharp. She tossed a folder onto the table. "I got the investor list," she said. "Apex's top 10 backers. 5 are already nervous." I glanced through the pages. "And the rest? They trust him," she said. "For now." Marcus leaned back. "You're sure about her, Ethan?" Looked at Chloe. "Her loyalty isn't to me. It's to the truth. And that's enough." Chloe crossed her arms. "My brother destroyed good people to feed his ego. Not here for you, Ethan. I'm here to make sure he pays." "Then we want the same thing," I said quietly. Weeks passed in silence and precision. Every headline I released was a whisper, not a shout. Anonymous reports, insider leaks. Quiet doubts. I wanted Adrian to crumble slowly the way I did. One night, Chloe walked into my office, eyes on the glowing monitors. "You're enjoying this?" I smirked. "No, I'm remembering." She frowned. "That's a dangerous habit, maybe," I said. "But it keeps me sharp." She studied me for a moment. "You're not the same man he betrayed." "I had to become something else," I said. "He built a throne on lies. I built a shadow under it." The gala arrived on a cold Friday night, Apex Dynamics anniversary banquet, celebration of deceit. I entered with Marcus and Chloe. The chandeliers reflected off my black suit. Every detail precise, every step deliberate. The crowd murmured. No one recognized me, the beard, the colder eyes, the faint scar near my lip. Marcus whispered, "You sure about this?" Completely. Across the room I saw them, Adrian and Isla, the power couple of London. The headline lie. Illa's laughter carried through the hall, delicate and trained. Adrian's hand rested on her back like ownership. For a moment, the ghost inside me stirred. Pain, nostalgia, something human. I buried it instantly. I picked up a champagne glass and moved through the crowd. Adrian noticed first, his brow furrowed. "Do I know you?" Smiled. "Not anymore." Isla turned, her eyes widening, lips parting, as the world seemed to freeze around her. "Ethan?" Gray, I corrected smoothly. Just another entrepreneur. Adrian's expression twisted. Impossible. You died, I asked lightly. Maybe just the old me. He stepped closer. What the hell do you want? Nothing, I said. Just to congratulate you? Apex has come far. His jaw tightened. Stay out of my sight, Gray. I intend to, I said. For now, Hila whispered. You shouldn't be here. I looked at her, calm and detached. Relax. I'm not here to destroy anyone. The lie tasted sweet. Later that night, I stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Chloe joined me, holding a glass of wine. You handled that well, she said. I'm not here to scream, I said. I'm here to watch. Watch what? The cracks, I said. They've already started forming. She leaned beside me. You leaked the procurement files, didn't you? I nodded slightly. Anonymous source. The board will question the missing funds by morning. She smiled faintly. You're colder than I thought. I learned from the best. Looked at me. You mean Adrian? Exactly. By dawn, the headlines began. Apex faces allegations of data manipulation. Anonymous reports suggest mismanagement in key departments. Marcus called. You're making noise.
Enough?
I said. The louder they scream, the easier it is to sound innocent. A whisper instead. He paused. You really think this slow bleed will work? It's not a bleed, I said. It's infection. He laughed darkly. You scare me sometimes. You taught me patience, I replied. Now I'm using it. A week later, Chloe entered my office with a grin. 2 investors pulled out. That's 20 million gone. I nodded. Good. Let the rot begin.
What?
She tilted her head. You don't even look satisfied. This isn't satisfaction, I said. It's symmetry. She leaned closer. And when he's on his knees. Then, I said, I'll remind him what mercy looks like and how I never got any. That night, I sat alone in my office. The city hummed outside. I took out the burnt Apex business card, edges fragile, the name fading like memory. From his lies, whispered to my throne. The ghost of who I was stared back in the glass. Not broken anymore, not begging, just waiting. It started small whispers, doubts, unanswered calls. Then it grew louder, spreading like fire through a paper palace. Apex was burning, and Adrian Hale didn't even smell the smoke yet. I watched from my office at Obsidian Labs. News articles flickering across my screen. Apex investors pull out amid ethical concerns. CEO under scrutiny after financial irregularities. Marcus called first. Congratulations, Ghost. Your shadow's getting heavy. I smiled faintly. He's starting to sweat. Too early to celebrate, Marcus warned. Cornered animals bite. I'm counting on it, he exhaled. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I paused. Maybe more than I should. Later that night, Chloe stormed into my office. You've pushed too far, she said. Adrian's paranoid. He's accusing his own board now. Good, I said. Fear makes honest men confess. He's not honest, Ethan. He's dangerous. So am I. She shook her head. You weren't. People change. Her eyes softened. No, people harden. You're mistaking one for the other. I looked at her, calm but unflinching. I'm doing what has to be done. Are you sure? No, I admitted. But I'm already too deep to stop. Across town, Adrian's kingdom was cracking. A recording surfaced one of his private meetings. His voice, cold and clear. If the numbers don't fit, make them fit.
The media tore into him.
Investors vanished overnight in Isla. She started showing up less in public. That's when the real irony began. Adrian's voice filled the boardroom. Oh, Cordy. I intercepted that weak anger, desperation. You leaked it, didn't you? He shouted, I didn't leak anything. Isla's voice trembled. You're paranoid. Don't lie to me, Isla. The press knew things only you could have said. You think I'd destroy you? After everything I gave up? Maybe you're finally realizing what kind of man I am, she hissed. I realized that a long time ago. The sound of glass shattering cut the recording. Silence followed. I sat there listening to it 3 times. Then I whispered, poetic. The next day I met Oliver Shaw, a journalist known for burning empires for breakfast. We met in a quiet cafe near the Thames. He looked up from his tablet. "You're the source." "I'm the messenger," I said. He smirked. "Anonymous leaks, encrypted files, timestamped documents. Whoever's feeding me knows Apex inside out. Then maybe you should listen carefully." He leaned closer. "Why come to me?" "Because you don't scare easy," he grinned. "And what's in it for you?" "Justice," I said flatly. He chuckled. "You sound rehearsed. Maybe I am," he nodded. "All right, Mr. Gray, let's make history." As I stood to leave, he said, "Funny thing, you talk like someone who's been hurt by this guy." I looked back at him. I was. Then I walked away. That night, I sat in my apartment with the city lights flickering against the window. My reflection looked like a stranger. Sharper eyes, colder jawline. Chloe called again. "Ethan, it's everywhere. They're saying Adrian falsified contracts, bribed auditors. It's chaos." "I know," I said. "You started this chaos." "Maybe, but I didn't make him corrupt." "That's not what I meant," she said. "You're different." I laughed softly. "Different how?" "You used to want justice. Now you want blood." I stared at the dark glass. "Maybe they're the same thing," she whispered. "No, Ethan, they never are." The call ended, but her words lingered like smoke in a locked room. The next morning, I saw a photo in the paper Adrian outside the Apex headquarters, shouting at reporters, face pale and wild. He looked like I once did, desperate. Cornered, broken, I should have felt relief. I didn't. I felt something colder, guilt, or satisfaction twisted beyond recognition. Maybe both. Marcus called again. "He's finished. The board's voting to suspend him." "You did it," I didn't answer. "You should be celebrating," he pressed. I thought it would feel cleaner. He was quiet for a moment. "And does it?" "No," I said. "It feels earned and ugly," he sighed. "Victory usually is." By evening, the news cycle had crowned its villain, Adrian Hale. From visionary to villain, Apex faces collapse amid ongoing investigation. The world finally saw what I'd always known. Still, as I sat in silence, a thought burned quietly through me, something I didn't want to face. I whispered to the empty room. "I became everything I swore I'd never be, but maybe that's what victory demands." The words felt like confession and curse all at once. Outside, the wind rattled the window. Somewhere in the distance, the city kept moving, new kings rising, old ones falling, and me. I wasn't sure what I'd become anymore. A victor, a ghost, or just another man consumed by his own fire. The morning news hit like thunder. Every channel, every feed, every voice was saying the same thing. Apex Technologies exposed. I sat in my office. The lights dim, my laptop screen reflecting the chaos of headlines. Adrian Cole accused of fraud, embezzlement, and data manipulation. Marcus whistled low beside me. "You really did it. Actually brought him down." I didn't look away from the screen. "No," I said quietly. "He brought himself down. I just turned the lights on." Marcus leaned forward, arms on the desk. "The world's eating him alive, Ethan. You should be proud." "Pride?" I smirked. "That's what started all this." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't have to check. I knew it was her. "Isla?" I ignored it. Seconds later, another buzz. Then another. Marcus raised a brow. "You gonna answer?" "No." "Maybe you should hear her out." I shook my head. She had her turn to speak. She used it to lie. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Man, you sound like the villain now." "Maybe I am." I stood and walked toward the window. The city glowed beneath me, the same skyline I once saw while begging for a second chance. Now it was him begging the world for one. A knock sounded on the door. My assistant's voice trembled. "Sir, she's downstairs. I didn't ask who. Send her away." "But she's send her away." The door closed. Silence returned. Then my phone rang again, a video call this time. His name flashed. Against better judgment, I answered. Her face appeared, red eyes, makeup streaked, voice breaking. Ethan, please, I need to talk to you. There's nothing left to say. There's everything to say, she cried. I didn't know he'd stop. I cut in. Don't lie to me again. I swear I didn't. You stood beside him while he ruined me. You smiled while I drowned. Her lip trembled. I was scared. He said he'd destroy me too. I stared at her, at the woman I once believed in more than myself. Then you should have let him. Instead, you destroyed me for him. I loved you, she whispered. No, I said coldly. Loyalty, you loved what I gave you. Peace, loyalty, attention. When those faded, you ran to power. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I exhaled slowly. Sorry doesn't rebuild what you helped burn? She tried again. Please, can we meet? Just once. I ended the call. Marcus watched quietly. You sure that's what you wanted? I'm done wanting, I said, voice flat. The afternoon brought more news. Adrian Cole arrested in London scandal. The photo showed him in handcuffs, head down, press lights blinding his face. Marcus let out a short laugh. Oh, Karma wears a nice suit today, but I didn't smile. Instead, I turned the screen off. He studied me. You don't look happy, should I? I asked after everything. Yeah, you won. I sank back into my chair. And why does it feel like I lost something bigger? Because revenge doesn't rebuild, Marcus said softly. It just clears the ruins. I looked at him, the weight of the past 2 years pressing down. He took everything from me. My company, my name, my peace. And now that I've taken it all back, I can't feel anything. That's the price, he murmured. You won your revenge. Now win yourself back. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my drawer and pulled out the small black card I'd kept hidden for years. Apex Technologies. That card was once my dream, my identity. My curse, Marcus noticed. You still kept that thing? I needed to remember why I started, I said. And now I need to remember how to stop. Reached for the lighter on my desk. The flame flickered. Small, golden, alive. I held the card above it. The fire caught instantly, curling the edges, turning the logo into ash. The smoke rose, twisting into nothing. Marcus watched silently. Closure? He asked. I stared at the last ember fading out. Maybe I whispered, or maybe just another illusion. He gave a half smile. Either way, it's over. Over, I echoed, but the word felt hollow. That night I walked alone through the city streets. Billboards still flashed headlines about Adrian's fall. Cameras caught him being escorted out of the same building where he once humiliated me. I stopped across the street watching it from afar. The same doors, the same cold marble. Different names on the wall. Justice was done, at least on paper. But peace. That remained a stranger. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed once more. A message from Isla. You were right. Revenge destroys everyone, even the innocent pieces left inside you. I didn't reply. Instead, I typed a new message to Marcus. Tomorrow we start again. No ghosts. No hate, he responded instantly. Finally. I looked up at the night sky. For the first time in years, it didn't feel like it was watching me burn, just quietly waiting for what I might become next. The Manhattan skyline looked sharper from the top floor of Obsidian Labs. Morning sunlight spilled through the glass. Cutting through the lingering mists like truth through rumor, Sophie leaned on my office door. You're early again. I don't sleep much these days, I said, adjusting my tie. Still haunted? I smiled faintly. No, just aware. She walked closer, holding a cup of coffee. You know, most people would throw a party after dethroning their enemies and building an empire in 2 years. I'm not most people, clearly, she said, handing me the cup. Chloe's downstairs finalizing the media setup for your speech. The world's ready for their tech messiah. Messiah. I laughed softly. Let's not start that myth again. Her gaze softened. You've earned this, Ethan. Don't downplay it. I looked out over the city, cranes, glass towers, traffic, ambition. Everything I once lost rebuilt from dust. I didn't build obsidian to prove them wrong, I murmured. I built it to prove myself right. The elevator chimed. Chloe stepped out, clipboard in hand, dark hair catching the light. You're going to be late to your own conference if you keep brooding. I was reflecting, I said. She smirked. Same thing, just more poetic. Sophie grinned. He's always poetic when he's nervous. I'm not nervous, I said. They exchanged a look. He's nervous, Chloe said under her breath. Let's go, I said. Ignoring them both, the auditorium buzzed with energy. Reporters, investors, innovators, all waiting. The backdrop behind the stage shimmered with Obsidian's logo, Phoenix fracturing into light. Chloe whispered before I went up, Remember, this isn't about revenge. It's about rebirth. I know. When I stepped onto the stage, the applause hit like a wave. Cameras flashed. Faces blurred into light. I stood behind the podium, 1,000 eyes watching the man who was once buried alive. I began simply, 2 years ago, I lost everything. My company, my name, my reputation. The world believed a lie and I let it. Murmurs spread through the crowd. I let silence carry the next breath. But the truth doesn't die, I continued. It waits. It learns. It sharpens. Someone in the front row whispered my name. Recognition, maybe disbelief. I ignored it. I learned that truth doesn't need a sword, I said, pausing as the camera zoomed in. It just needs time. Applause rippled through the room, not loud, not wild, but genuine. The kind that carries respect, not pity. I went on, voice steady. Obsidian Labs was born not from vengeance, but from vision. We built technology that serves people, not power. We rose because integrity, once broken, can still rebuild stronger. Chloe nodded from the side, pride shining in her eyes. Sophie was recording her expression unreadable, but warm. I finished with a simple line, I am not what they made me. I am what I chose to become. And the applause thundered this time. I didn't bow. I just stood there, letting the noise pass through me like wind through open glass. Afterward, in the hallway, Chloe clapped me on the shoulder. You killed it, figuratively, I said. Sophie joined us, laughing. Finally, the ghost of Apex gets buried. Not buried, I corrected. Just left behind. We stepped outside together. The streets were alive with movement, journalists rushing to publish headlines, workers carrying boxes of Obsidian merchandise, life happening faster than ever. Chloe's phone buzzed. She checked it, then showed me the screen. The news app flashed a photo, Adrian Cole seen leaving court in bankruptcy hearing. His face was tired, hollow. The caption read, Former tech giant faces final collapse. Sophie frowned. Guess karma really doesn't do refunds. I stared at the image. Once, that face had haunted me. Now, it just looked. Human, don't, Chloe said softly. Don't give him space in your mind again. I'm not, I said. I'm just remembering how far I've come. She smiled. Then let's keep moving forward. We walked past a small newsstand on the corner. The same headline glared from a dozen covers. Adrian's ruin, his lies finally public. The same lies that had buried me once. I stopped, looked at one paper for a long moment, then set it back on the stack. Chloe tilted her head. Not even a smile? No, I said quietly. That chapter's over. Sophie linked her arm through mine. Then what's next? I glanced up. The sun had just begun to rise, gold light spilling between the Manhattan towers, painting everything in warmth. Whatever comes, I said, this time I'll build it right. We stood there for a moment, 3 people bound by Scar's ambition, something that felt like peace. The wind carried the scent of coffee and possibility. Cars honked below. Somewhere, a street musician played a soft tune, one that sounded like endings, pretending to be beginnings. Chloe looked at me. You finally got your throne. I watched the sunrise bloom across the skyline, its light touching the obsidian building like a crown. No, I said, this isn't a throne. It's a reminder. A reminder of what? Sophie asked. That truth doesn't need to fight, I said, turning away. It just needs time and the courage to survive the waiting. As we walked toward the car, the city seemed to breathe with me, alive, relentless, reborn. The past was ashes now. The future was mine. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was running from his lies. I was standing on what grew from them. The light followed us all the way home. The air smelled like rain and earth. The grass was still wet when I walked through the graveyard. My mother's name gleamed faintly on the marble stone, her words etched beneath it. Truth is never wasted. I knelt, brushing away a few fallen leaves. Hey, Mom, I whispered. It's been a while. The silence that followed was kind, the kind that didn't need to answer. I thought revenge would heal me, I said quietly. I thought if I could destroy him, I'd finally feel clean again. But it didn't work that way. When the dust settled, I didn't feel victorious, just empty. A gust of wind crossed the hill, soft and cold. I kept your old photo on my desk, I said, smiling faintly. You'd probably scold me for not smiling enough. Sophie says the same thing. Footsteps crunched behind me. I didn't have to turn to know it was her. You talk to her like she's still here? Sophie said gently. She is, I murmured, just not the way she used to be. She came closer, holding 2 cups of coffee. You forgot breakfast again, she said, handing one to me. I took it, the warmth grounding me. You always find me when I try to disappear. Someone has to, she said softly. Otherwise, you'd live in your thoughts forever. I built an empire from those thoughts, she said, smirking faintly. But you're still human beneath the crown, you know? I glanced at her, the way the morning light brushed across her hair, the quiet steadiness in her eyes. You've been with me since the ruins, I said. Why? Because I believed you weren't ruined, she said. You just forgot who you were. Her words settled deep. I looked at the grave again, my voice quieter now. Pain can build kingdoms too, I said. Not out of hate, but out of hunger for meaning, for something real. Sophie crouched beside me. And did you find it? I think I'm starting to. We stayed silent for a moment. Birds moved in the trees. The city hummed faintly in the distance, life still going, indifferent to past wars. She brushed the dirt from my sleeve. You don't have to carry her loss or his betrayal anymore. I sighed. I don't carry them. I carry what they taught me. She tilted her head. That's a heavy lesson. Yeah, I said, standing slowly. But it's worth it. We began walking back toward the car. The sky was clearing, a pale blue stretching over the horizon. You ever think about starting over? She asked quietly. Every day, I said. Just haven't figured out what that looks like yet, she said. Her smile small but certain. It looks like peace. Peace, I repeated, tasting the word. Feels strange. Get used to it. I chuckled softly. You sound like her. Good, she said. She was right about you. At the gate, I turned once more toward the grave, the stone, the flowers, the stillness. I whispered, You were right, Mom. Truth wasn't wasted. It just took time. Sophie slipped her hand into mine, quiet and natural. Ready to go? Yeah, I said. Ready. We walked toward the car, the gravel crunching beneath our feet. The city waited ahead, alive, loud, unpredictable. For once, I wasn't afraid of it. As we drove off, sunlight broke through the clouds, streaking gold across the windshield. I watched it spread, warm and blinding, like the world was finally forgiving itself. I leaned back, eyes half closed, voice low to myself, to her, to the ghosts I'd finally outgrown. He built his empire on lies, I whispered. I built mine on what those lies taught me. I smiled faintly, the first real one in years. That's the difference, I said, between a thief and a king.